All right. I am live. Hello, everyone. Good evening on this beautiful Wednesday, February 18th. If you are watching it live, welcome. Let me know where you are coming from. I see someone in the comments now. And if you are joining me in the replay, then welcome to this conversation. This is all about execution versus avoidance when it comes to our careers, when it comes to filmmaking. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and get right into it because we only have an hour and I have a lot to talk about. Up here in this upper upper corner right here is a link that will take you directly to the Plan Like a Pro blueprint. Feel free to scan that QR code. I'll bring it on and off throughout this conversation, but without further ado, let's get into it. If I'm looking this way, I'm just looking at my notes, so don't let that distract you. All right. So tonight we're talking about why production feels heavy sometimes. Okay. For me, heavy has meant financial strain. It's meant uncertainty. Checking my mic. It's meant uncertainty. It's meant doubts about my timing, about questioning whether the dream or the vision that I've held is meant for me. That's what uncertainty has looked like for me in the past. And so, one of the questions I have that I want you to really think about, whether you're watching this live or not, is when your project feels heavy, what does that actually mean for you? When it feels like it's too much to bear, when it feels stressful, when you feel like you're tapping out, you're disinterested, what does that actually mean for you? What does that mean to you? Okay, I want you to think about that. For me, when something feels heavy, it literally means like that I feel a bit overwhelmed. I don't feel grounded. I don't feel like the film project or the creative project is worth pursuing. It seems like it's just easier for me to kind of help someone else's vision, because I'm not sure if my vision is something that is realistic. And that might feel like, well, how could you think that way? I've made so much content, but even in, and I would say, especially in having produced so much of my own work, one of the things that has also happened is, quite frankly, the feeling of, sorry, I'm playing with my lighting here. I should not be doing that. Quite frankly, the feeling of burnout, has also been very real. So addressing that feeling of burnout and that feeling like, okay, I can't take anymore is something that I've had to really be very honest about as pertains to my career, right? As pertains to the ventures that I have had and the dreams and the visions that I have held. Okay. Another thing that I want to talk about is overthinking and comparison. Okay. And just to kind of ground, this is a live in which I'm really encouraging filmmakers, encouraging creatives to think about the ways that we get in our own way. So I'm going to continue to ground you in that because I want to make sure that, you remain aware of, see me here, get my BTS. I want to make sure that you remain aware of the things that might be standing in your way or the things that might be holding you back. Okay. So, sometimes we can feel heavy because of the workload, because of already having a 9 to 5, already having so much that we are managing in our own lives that, pursuing our art, pursuing our career can feel like it is a daunting, impossible task. And that's something that I really want you to think about as we go through this workshop. Okay. My biggest question that I want you to think of, you're going to keep coming back to, is whose timeline are you measuring yourself against? Whose timeline right now? Whose timeline are you measuring yourself against? I'll get vulnerable. I am 38 and counting. Thank God, right? Happy to be alive. I'm 38. I'll be 38 and a half in April. And I have compared my timeline to honestly expectations that I've had of myself and for myself, that like by this time in my life I should be in a certain place. I should have accomplished a certain thing. Insert whatever that certain thing is. And yet I'm measuring myself against a version of myself that perhaps will exist one day, but does not exist yet. And then there are times I'm measuring myself against other creatives and feeling like, man, they've hit they've had this moment of success. They've had this moment of, breakthrough. They've had that. Why not me? Right? What am I doing wrong? Why is my journey so hard? Why does everything feel complicated and or confusing, etc., right? Oh, that volume was off. Oh no, I wonder how long that volume was off. When I, Amoria, am in fear, I'm afraid of repeating some of the same mistakes that I've repeated in the past. What are some of those mistakes? Those mistakes range from anything that is overextending myself in production, feeling like I'm being so ambitious that I am not taking care or being mindful of my well-being. So that's a fear of myself in those situations. That fear sometimes looks like feeling like I am going to fail by fundraising, because who else is going to want to give me another dime towards my projects, towards my ventures? That fear sometimes looks like doing other things, making other people's projects happen, because I feel more confident that no matter where somebody else is in their career, I'm going to tell you 10 times out of 10, not even 9, 10 times out of 10, historically, I feel more confident that that individual will get the support they need versus me getting the support I need. Yeah, 10 times out of 10, I feel someone else is more likely to get the support that they need, and that I am less likely, no matter where that person is in their career, which is, I would say, an esteem issue. And before I move on, I want to say a lot of our issues when it comes to our filmmaking careers, when it comes to our creative pursuits, come from wounds that we have, childhood wounds. It could be career, professional trauma, whatever it is. A lot of the fear that we have is comes from wounds that we carry. And so what ends up happening is, if we don't resolve those things, they find ways to show up in our professional life. And then those things manifest in some very curious ways. It can manifest in your typical competition, envy, covetousness, all that, being covetous, all that thing, all that stuff. But it can also manifest in imposter syndrome. It can manifest in you wanting to elevate and push others along because you're used to hiding, because you don't feel good enough. And then you have these things in your ears that are telling you you're not good enough. So, how then, let me recenter us back to what we're talking about today. Today, we're talking about execution versus avoidance. Avoidance isn't as simple as, I have a short attention span, and so I'm just scrolling on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Substack, you name it, all day. Yeah, sure. But avoidance at its root, when it comes to your creative pursuits, those things are symptomatic. Those are the things that happen on the surface. I'm talking a level deeper, levels deeper. Underneath it is typically because you yourself are struggling with feeling good enough, are struggling with feeling worthy of your dreams. And so we'll pour into other things, we'll distract ourselves with other things, and then we're sitting on these dreams. Thumbs up. Thank you, whoever you are, for the thumbs up. I appreciate you on Facebook. All right. So we're gonna go back to and drop a comment, y'all. I don't see any comments so far, but I would love to hear how this is resonating and who this is resonating with. Okay, so we're gonna move forward into the next layer of things that are holding us back from pursuing our career, our dreams. We talked about fear. Now let's talk about perfection. I'm gonna sip some water. Perfection. Perfection. Feeling afraid to look like you don't know what you're doing. And you know what? You might not. But perfection keeps us in such a hold. It prevents us from executing anything in a timely manner. And then, listen, I have looked and been like, dang, I've had some great ideas. I've had some great visions that I've held, and I've just not executed them because I want everything to be perfect. And listen, I love something to be packaged, put together. That's why the Plan Like a Pro blueprint exists. It's everything that I wish that I had, that I had to spend, over a year technically creating, but it's everything that I wish that I had is in that Plan Like a Pro blueprint. And I'll go ahead and put the QR code here for those who are interested in checking it out, and interested in investing in it, right? For yourself or for another creative that you know. It works for event planning as well, which I also have a background in production. Production is production, right? But it's perfection has kept me from executing so many ideas. I mean, seriously, I was a part of Tyler Perry's Dream Collective, the top 100, therefore finalist for the inaugural Tyler Perry Dream Collective in 2025. I can't believe it's coming up on almost a year since that started. That was in June of last year. In any case, we had sessions every Saturday, mainly every Saturday for about 5, 6 weeks in the summer. And they were about 6-hour sessions on Zoom. People were all over the country. So my point is, one of those sessions, uh, it was shared with us, and I can't get into the nitty gritty of things, but I will say one of the ideas that came out of the session is to just make your film, to keep doing it, to do it no matter what, to be so audacious and uh so passionate, and honestly to have enough childlike imagination and naivete that you just do it anyways. And if that's your mindset, you don't have time for absolute perfection, because you know that the more that you do something, the stronger you get. The more that you do something, the more you build those muscles, the more you build that mental fortitude. But you can only really do that when you repeat, repeat, go, 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 go. You have to continue to do the thing over and over in order to get to your goal. Now I'm nervous. My mic's not recording, it's recording. In order to get to and achieve your goal. Okay. So what are you afraid of happening? If you're in protection, what are you protecting? For me, what people think of me. I want them to take me seriously. I want to be taken seriously. I don't want people to see me as, you know, oops, sorry, bottle cap. I don't want people to see me as some filmmaker holding for room tone. Got to pour some water. I don't want people to see me as some yuppie, as some filmmaker not to be taken seriously. I want them to take me seriously, right? And that's great. We should be, be dedicated to our craft so much so that people do take us seriously. But trying to control that is a problem, and gets in our way of ultimately seeing the vision through, seeing our um vision come to pass, right? Okay, I'm going to move on. Next I want to say is What is the sentence you keep telling yourself before you start? What do you keep telling yourself before you even start? This is moving into avoidance. For me, avoidance looks like busyness. Avoidance looks like sometimes for me, avoidance actually looks like creating. It looks like creating content sometimes. It looks like doing everything but setting up the actor's access. It looks like doing everything but uh you know putting myself out there. It looks like doing everything but writing. It feels productive because you're doing something, but is it productive in the grand scheme of the vision that you hold and the vision that you want for your life? That is what we're talking about when we talk about productivity. Is it ultimately pointing to what you want, the vision that you're holding for your life? That's what we're talking about when we talk about productivity as pertains to your film career. Okay. That's what we're talking about. Okay. So, what do you keep telling yourself? I'll start once I get $5,000. Okay, but you haven't written your script yet. Why are you waiting for $5,000? You haven't even written anything. Let me tell you something. When I have in the past, whether it was Love My Roomie, Don't Be Desperate, or even on other people's projects, when you just there's something special that happens. People say the universe conspires. I think God is masterful in that way. And I think the universe, he created it, so it's behind him. But everything really does come together when you just make the decision. I mean, it's a conviction that lies in your sacral chakra. It's a deep conviction that you have that, you know what? I'm committing to this dream. I'm committing to this vision. And when you make that decision, everything starts to come together. You start to see grants. You start to see opportunities. You start to meet people who want your dreams to happen. You start to meet the crew who's like, what? You going to pay me 30 days deferred? Now, I'm not saying do this, abuse people. I'm not saying that. But you start to meet people who are like, what do I need to do to make this dream happen? Because I want the dream. What do I need to do in order for this to come to pass? Because I want this to come to pass. Those are the type of people, those are the type of connections that you begin to make when you just have it in your spirit. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to accomplish. I'm going to see this vision through. Everything comes together. Okay. Whew, started preaching there. So, what would happen if you started without the thing that's preventing you from starting? The thing that you think you need to start. For Don't Be Desperate, this will be my case study for this. May 2021, around May 22nd, 2021, it was Memorial Day. It was the Friday before Memorial Day, or the Thursday before. It was the Thursday before Memorial Day, I believe. I was in LA. I didn't live there yet. And I was in LA, 2000, did I say 2022? It was 2021, just in case, so 5 years ago. I made the decision that I felt this conviction, this inspiration in my soul, and I made the decision that I was going to make a short film. Period. Period. I made the decision that I was going to make a short film based on these short scenes that I wrote for an actress who wanted to create or update her actor's reel. And that was it. And I wrote it. And I got feedback, and it could have been better. The script could have been better, but I knew I was going to shoot it anyways. So I'm going to shoot it. And I knew what I needed to do to shoot it. And I was still coming off of Love My Roomie. I mean, Love My Roomie had just come out 5 months prior, and I was already onto the next project. I didn't have the money for that. And I paid a lot of money for that project. I mean, people were flying out of town, all sorts of things. I didn't have the money for that. But I had it in my spirit that I wanted to make this happen. And I fundraised along the way. And all of a sudden, I was getting these really, really well paying gigs in New York. that were, because we shot that in New York. So I was in New York for some time, and I was getting these gigs that were paying me very well, and I was able to pay my cast and crew. It was stressful, but I was working on fashion sets, getting paid like very good money each day and multiple days. And I was able to pay people. And then I got I got hired by a tech company to create a deck. And they paid me very well for, I mean, like random one-off things, but they came together in time. And every single cast and crew member got paid. Every single one of them. I'm not saying do that. That's part of the reason why I haven't done another project of my own since. Nervous. I'm not saying do it that way, but I am saying you'll be surprised. You would be surprised what really lies within you, what you are truly, truly capable of. If you just put your mind to it, if you just set your heart and your soul and just settle in that you're going to do it. Do you know what I mean? Okay. All right. So, avoidance. We know we've identified avoidance. So, the next thing we're going to do is think about execution. I've already talked about that right now, but just to bring it home, it's a vulnerable thing. Execution very rarely feels like confident. It often feels vulnerable, scary, horrifying. Horrifying. It often feels horrifying. Um, but it's necessary in order to see the vision through. So, my question to you is I want you to think, what is one thing, sorry about that, what is one thing you know you should execute on, but you're waiting to feel ready for? You know, when I ask my questions, I got to have a sip of water while you just think about that. What is the one thing that you know you should execute on, but you're waiting to feel ready for? You know what that is. And if you don't, you got some work to do, but that's okay. I'm here to help encourage you in doing that, right? To push you along in doing that. But I want you to consider that, to consider what you're waiting for when it comes to your dreams, when it comes to executing, when it comes to seeing something through, right? When it comes to seeing something through. And then if you never ever feel ready, will you still do it? I want you to really think about that. If you never if the feeling of ready never happens, will you still execute that vision? Because that matters. Because you really honestly truly might never feel ready. I've been waiting to feel ready for shooting another short film. I mean, honestly, at this point now, right? It's February 18th, 2026. I, I've been ready. But that feeling of ready has not come. I've been ready, but I was trying to feel ready, right? If you never feel it, what will actually happen? And sometimes, here's the kicker, sometimes all that's required of us is to start the process. And just like things start to come together once we put things in motion, that feeling of readiness also starts to happen when we put things and once we put things in motion. I want you to note that. It all starts to come together. It's no mistake. It all starts to come together once we just put it in motion. Okay? Put it in motion and you'll see things start to feel like, "Oh, this is this is starting to make some sense. This feels all right." You know, it'll all start to feel that way. Um All right, so now we're going to talk about the identity shift. Who do you need to become in order to see your project through? So, the heaviness you feel, we identified heaviness before, and I was vulnerable about the heaviness I feel. I always got to do a mic check here because I muted at some point. I don't know how long that lasted. Is the heaviness coming from the project, or is the heaviness coming from who you know you need to become in order to make it happen? I'll start. When it comes to my projects, when it comes to my work, and when it comes to who I am becoming in order to be the her who is executing at a high level, applying the lessons I've learned, what scares me the most is who I need to be in order for those things to happen. Because, of course, I've identified with who I am. That isolation, no, solitude, not isolation. Isolation, not isolation. The solitude necessary, the prayer necessary, the next level of faith necessary, the holding the vision when it seems like it's better just to tap out, the patience necessary, who I need to become in order to see these things through. That is often the most intimidating thing about the whole setup. Really, honestly, it's often the thing that I'm like, ugh, because I know there is someone that I have to be. There is a version of me that I have to walk into and step into that's unfamiliar. For some of you, that might look like asking people to contribute to your project. That, like, literally just might look like asking people to contribute to your project. For some of you, that might look like writing and signing up for a course and admitting that, like, hey, I'm not the uh, most confident writer, right? That might look like that for some of you. It might, it really might look like that for some of you. But that doesn't mean avoid it. So the next question is, what identity are you holding on to that might be keeping you small? This is where we start to identify the imposter syndrome. What identity, what version of yourself are you holding on to that makes you feel smaller than you even envision for yourself? You might see your name in lights. There are certain things people said they see for me many years, I mean, over a decade and then some ago, that still haven't come to fruition. And I could say some of that might just be timing, right? It's not, the timing hasn't happened yet. But some of that is also choices on my end, choices to play small. The interesting thing, and I tell people this again, I got to be vulnerable. If I'm asking you to be vulnerable with yourself and I'm leading you through this session, then I have to start with myself. The ways in which I've helped other people make their work and created vehicles and created programs and all sorts of things in a lot of ways has been the identity that I've held on to that has kept me small. It's the idea that I help support blah, 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 blah. And these are all beautiful things. But these things are also ways in which I have played small, in which I have hid behind myself, hid behind other people, hid behind other people's dreams and visions so that no one can see me. Because if you can see me as a producer, which I am an amazing producer, if you can see me as the amazing producer, but not the vulnerable writer, not the vulnerable director, not the vulnerable and sometimes insecure actor, then I can position my identity as one that is whatever makes me the most respectable. Whatever, but it's not fully me. You see what I'm saying? Just because you're good at something doesn't mean it's your truly fully realized identity. And that's very tricky because we can feel, oh, I'm a really good writer. I'm a really good producer. I'm a really good actress. Maybe you even think I'm a really good director. Maybe you're a director who's always wanted to act, who really wants to get in front of the camera, or really wants to produce, or really wants to write. That thing that you're afraid of is the thing that it's, I don't want to say completing, but that is rounding out your identity. The thing you're afraid of is the thing that is rounding out your identity. It is a thing that is taking your identity from something that is just what other people see, or that is just flat or one dimensional, and it is the depth of you. And if you tap into those things within you that scare you, you're going to actually discover a gold mine. And you're going to discover gems. You're going to discover vibranium underneath. You're going to discover life force underneath that is actually going to elevate the thing that people see about you. And here's an example. Me as an actor, a lot of people in my current professional life do not know me as an actor. They know I have done it, they know of it, maybe, but they know me as a producer first and foremost. They might know me as a director, maybe. And they know me as a mentor, and they know me as an educator. A lot of them do not know me as an actor. But it is, in fact, the reality that as I get back and transition back into my love for acting, my passion for acting, my calling towards storytelling via embodiment, that is only going to deepen my ability to be a powerful producer. Because what does a producer do? They produce. That's still creative energy. That's still God's energy, the creator energy. What does actors do? You produce a performance from within. You produce something. So it is all connected. So when it comes to shifting our identity, it's not about saying, I am no longer a producer. It's about shifting what I'm leading with, knowing I got this right here in my back pocket, so that what people see first is this. And then knowing, what do I need to do safely to be able to pivot into the actress Yamoria again. This doesn't go away. What ends up happening is that you have this, and all of a sudden, this isn't working by itself. It's not mainly just producer by itself. Now it's got something to vibe off of. Now we're dealing with energy passing between the two. Right? Okay. I'm going to move on. We're going to talk lastly about rest versus avoidance. Rest restores you, avoidance drains you. Rest restores you, avoidance drains you. So, my question to you is simple. Are you resting, or are you numbing? No judgment. Are you resting, or are you numbing? It's a big question. It requires a big answer. Are you resting, or are you numbing? Resting looks like, for me, sometimes it looks like just chilling watching TV, but that still has my brain going. It looks like staring at the walls, true story. It looks like reading. It looks like listening to music, sipping some tea, unplugging. Numbing can feel similar. Numbing looks like, oh, I've had a day. Sometimes numbing does look like just binge watching television. Numbing in the evening or late at night or early in the morning often looks like scrolling. It often even looks like engagement on these apps. Dopamine hit. And give me a dopamine hit. Give me that. It feels like that too. The next and last question that I'm going to have for you is, after your break, when you rest, do you feel clearer or do you feel more scattered? Do you feel clearer or do you feel more scattered? The reason why numbing yourself via social media and numbing in general is draining is because it doesn't pour back into your vessel. It actually opens up, imagine holes, gateways, portals, whatever, opening you up to receiving other information, other inputs, information, input. And by the end, you're drained because your body is not designed for just consistent inputs. It's not designed to hear or read just consistent discourse all day long, every other person's opinion about everything. Like, just think about how many other people's brains we got access to. Other people's brains. How can you hear yourself think? How can you feel if you are consistently taking in other people's energy? And that is why numbing yourself on social media is so dangerous. One of the major reasons why, right? So, the 48-hour challenge that I have for you for the next 48 hours from whenever you see this. So, don't watch this on February 21st and be like, oh, that was for the 18th. No, no, no. Whenever you watch this, whatever year you watch this, I've got a 48-hour challenge for you. And that challenge is, what is one action that you need to take in the next 48 hours? And I mean one thing at a time, especially if you work a 9 to 5 or you're hustling, freelancing. You can only take but so much. So, what is the one thing, right? The next question that I have for you for the next 48 hours to meditate on and to execute on is, are you going to protect the fear or are you going to build the project? Are you going to protect the fear, make excuses, or are you going to build the project? And that's where the Plan Like a Pro blueprint comes in. Or you can comment on this and I will talk to you about working with you one-on-one or any of the other services. I also have workshop replays that might be helpful for people who like to just mind their business and go with the flow. But are you going to protect the fear or are you going to build the project? That is the question for you. That is the ultimate question for you. I want you to think about that going into this next 48 hours, going into the next days ahead, no matter when you're watching this, when this year, next year, and years to come. I want you to think about that. I want you to sit with that and I want you to meditate on that. Okay. So, this session has been on execution versus avoidance. I do hope it has helped you through some of your biggest questions, some of the things that you've really been toying with. And I hope that the next session, we will have another session in 2 weeks from now on Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. I hope that that will also help you too. So this has been another office hours, evening office hours. I hope this helps. I hope this inspires. And y'all check out my YouTube channel for all the other things. And of course, check out the Plan Like a Pro blueprint if you want to have a nice container over 100 pages, including templates to work through. Okay. Until next time, peace out.